the world's insatiable thirst for oil. It currently takes 87 million barrels of oil per day to quench that thirst, one that shows no signs of being satisfied any time in the near future. This new and vast demand for energy is just a hint of what is to come. Understanding the factors behind the continued strength of oil and natural gas in today's marketplace is necessary for anyone who seeks to gain from this thriving commodity. There's no time to waste. In the months preceding 2008, investors, politicians, and analysts had watched anxiously as the cost of crude oil on world markets nearly doubled, causing prices at the pump to soar. As the tension mounted, an unprecedented event was about to take place. In January 2008, oil reached the record-breaking price of $100 per barrel, shattering predictions and making history. Even during the oil crises of the 70s and 80s, the price of oil had not reached this towering height. And this price continues to rise. What is behind the astonishing climb of the price of oil? Tension in the Middle East, oil price speculation, political unrest, along with other factors play a role in the cost of oil. But one basic economic principle defines what is behind the current surge in prices. Supply versus demand. The planet's thirst for oil and natural gas is rising at fever pitch. Yet, at the very time that the worldwide consumption of energy has soared to historic heights, the traditional producers of crude oil have not kept up the pace. Most of the world's petroleum production comes from the 13 member countries that comprise OPEC, an international oil cartel. Over the past year, OPEC members, as well as some non-OPEC producers such as Russia, have not increased their drilling. This creates a shortfall in the amount of crude oil needed, which in turn leads to a surge in prices. There are no signs that the demand for energy will slow anytime soon. Even though U.S. gasoline prices are at an all-time high, Americans are still the largest consumers of oil. But not for long.
टेबल को हिंदी में क्या कहते हैं?
Господи, что делается?
Temos aprendido a lição muitas vezes.
Other nations have recently embraced capitalism, creating new consumers. Of these emerging economies, two stand out in the crowd: China and India, the world's most populous countries, and their growing thirst for energy will soon outpace the rest of the world. Until very recently, their economic potential was virtually non-existent. But in 2006, China's gross domestic product grew by 11%, and India's GDP followed with 9% growth, creating nearly half the world's entire economic growth. China and India are not only becoming world leaders of industry, but also commanders of consumer purchasing. As their economies swell, their populations are becoming wealthier, driving a spreading appetite for cars, homes, and appliances. One of the most important results of industrial expansion and richer consumers is, of course, a greater energy need. If demand continues to increase at this pace, the total global demand for oil in 2030 will be 50% higher than it is today. And half of that increase would come from China and India alone. So how will the producers keep up with the demand for oil? The International Energy Agency, or IEA, an energy policy advisor, believes that there is still enough oil in the ground to meet projected growth in the demand for the world as a whole, but the production sources of the oil supply will change considerably. The OPEC cartel's production of oil will rise from 42% of the world's supply to 48% by 2030. This could be an increase of 21.5 million barrels produced per day. In addition to this, the oil industry will see the emergence of many new players in both the production and consumer markets, countries such as Russia and nations in Central Asia, Latin America, and Africa. However, it is difficult for the IEA and other sources to make forecasts, given the constant vulnerability of the world's oil supply from political tensions, security issues, the OPEC cartel's volatility, and the difficulty in finding new oil and gas reserves. OPEC's members include politically unstable nations such as Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Iran, and Venezuela, and other tensions worldwide add to the jeopardy. During 2007, oil exports from Nigeria were disrupted by civil unrest. That same year, Russia cut back its shipments to Belarus and the Ukraine for political reasons. OPEC producers have repeatedly shown that they are unpredictable trading partners, and with recent shortfalls, they have proven that their oil production cannot be relied upon. Yet, from the 21 million barrels of oil used by the U.S. every day in 2007, 60%, 12 million barrels, were imported daily into America's shores from foreign oil producers. In fact, the U.S. is the largest importer of foreign oil in the entire world, and half of those imports came from OPEC. How can America become more energy secure and move toward energy independence? Even though oil production in this country peaked in the 70s, it is still essential to oil's market strength that exploration and production take place in the continental United States. Domestic oil and gas exploration helps relieve U.S. dependence on foreign petroleum. It also reduces the chances that America's energy prices will be completely subject to the political whims and unrest of foreign producers. Energy supply and demand is increasingly affected by the volatile and unreliable nature of current foreign sources. The increasing demand for energy worldwide, as well as in the U.S. Decreased output by foreign producers and the dwindling supply of this non-renewable resource. But domestic exploration and production drives the skyrocketing growth and return on investments from oil and natural gas. All of these undeniable factors align to create a unique opportunity to invest in this thriving commodity and benefit from the world's insatiable thirst for oil.